So Batman versus Superman. We've heard everybody else's opinion, so we may as well hear mine. My opinion is mostly I really wish we still had Christopher Nolan helping us out on this. Maybe it'll turn out fine, but who knows. The only way I see this turning out well is if we decide to build on the most controversial element of the Superman Man of Steel movie and go from that fact that Superman killed General Zod. This does give Batman and Superman something to talk about. Where I'm hoping this is going is that Batman, at least in most of the fictional universe, doesn't kill people, or does so only as a last resort. Whereas Superman has now just officially killed someone. So if we're looking for who actually has the moral high ground here, it might very well be Batman. If there's a nice point in the movie where they get to talk and compare notes with each other and discuss, and our buddy Bruce Wayne Batman manages to give Clark Kent Superman some advice and say, you've got to learn to live with yourself after what you did, but it's not like you had a lot of alternatives. Superman could conceivably have a huge crisis of conscience when he realized, hey, this guy that I think is a vigilante may actually be morally superior to me. Although, if we're looking at some of the trailer video, it looks like this version of Batman doesn't have any problem with killing people. There is at least room in all this to open a huge discussion on including everything down to, did Han shoot first back in good old Star Wars Episode 4? And segueing to that chestnut for a moment, I just got to say that our buddy George Lucas has a pretty exaggerated idea of what does and doesn't constitute justifiable force if he thinks that Han's actions in shooting Greedo are only justified if Greedo shot first and Greedo is a terrible shot. I think most courts, even in the United States, would allow that if someone is standing in front of you with a gun, or sitting in front of you with a gun, and saying, I'm going to take you outside and kill you, shooting them probably qualifies as something close to self-defense. It's certainly not murder one. This could open up a huge section for discussion, deep philosophy, getting into everything up to and including Japanese Bushido, in which it is acceptable to kill an opponent, even an unarmed opponent, but you have to do it within certain moral guidelines, and you have to do it while upholding a code of honor. We've all listened for years to the comic book industry in particular telling us, oh, I can't kill the evil person because then I become like they are. There is a certain truth to that. Although you're going to have to talk to some actual police officers in the world and some actual soldiers before you're going to find real truth about how much that means, because most comic book writers have probably never picked up a gun in their life. But a big part of the purpose of having a code of honor or having rules that the police are obliged to abide by in the use of force is so that you don't turn into a monster. It is potentially okay to shoot someone in the line of duty, even if you know that you might kill them, but you want to make sure that that was the very last resort. This is a principle that comes up in a lot of martial arts. Don't use more force than is necessary. If you can stop someone simply by inflicting a little bit of pain, then you do that. If you have to break one of their arms to stop them, then you do that. And so forth. Killing them is an absolute last resort when nothing else worked and no other option is available to you. There are a lot of martial arts that teach that a perfect and ideal warrior who is truly powerful should be able to deal gently with every enemy. The movie could go there and address those points and discuss different ways in which force is and isn't appropriate, particularly in the comic book world, and its larger implications to our world and our philosophy and our use of force in our interactions with other human beings. I'm hoping the movie goes there. I have a lot of faith in the writers. I would have a little bit more faith in them if Christopher Nolan was still on the team.